I'm here with actor Gerrard Lobo, who some of his fans may recently have seen him on You on Lifetime, which is probably your most recent airing, right?
Yes, the most recent airing is definitely You on Lifetime. That was a really, really fun project to work
Cool.
on.
Yeah, we'll get to that. First, why don't you talk about a little bit about how you found out, or when you first found out you wanted to be an actor, and like what steps you took to realize that dream.
Wow. So I always say that I'm on about my third lifetime. After I graduated from college, I got into, I was working for my martial arts teacher's law firm. Then I got into modeling. And then I got serious with a girl and got into the financial industry because I figured if I'm going to get married, why not do a traditional job? And, if I'm going to have kids and things like that. And that relationship dissolved, and I was working in the financial services industry for about 6 years, and I was kind of miserable. And so I just always asked myself, what did I always do that I was afraid to pursue, that I always wanted to try, but just never really had the wherewithal to go after it? And the two answers were writing and acting. So I started taking courses at night when I was sort of going away from my financial services job. And I took an acting course that was 10 months long. At the end of that, it was with Joanna Bexon. She's an amazing teacher. And at the end of that, she was just like, you should sort of put yourself out there a little bit, see what happens. And I did. I auditioned for my first play. It was a Shakespeare play with the Take Wing and Soar Productions in Harlem. And it was Antony and Cleopatra. Booked a role in the ensemble, and then the rest was history.
And what was that experience like for you? I mean, the first time was actually going to be on stage, so it's kind of, you didn't have any second takes or anything.
Oh, you know what? I might as well just be 100% honest. So, I'd never auditioned for a play before. And aside from what I had learned in the 10-month acting course, which was great, we worked on everything from it was a Meisner course, so a lot of listening, a lot of presence, a lot of just partner work, scene work. We didn't work so much stagecraft in the sense of just you're going out on a stage for an audition. So my first audition, they asked me to prepare 2 monologues in Shakespeare, which I've never done before. And I was kind of just like reading off of the paper, trying to be as connected as I was. And the director's like, look at me. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, find your light. And I was just like, it's right there. And I did not know what she meant. So they were just like, So the director takes me aside. She's like, do me a favor, study very hard to be off book. And then when you come back, just let it fly. So I did that a week later, and they liked what I did and gave me a role in the ensemble. And the rest was, I got to watch classically trained actors do their thing for 3 months, and it just was mesmerizing. I was in this fortunate position where I wasn't necessarily needing to be sort of up every single day in rehearsal, but I was required to be there. So just watching, interacting whenever I could, learning everything from how people prep before they get into the theater, how people prep for their scenes, seeing someone not knowing anything about what their words are, where their blocking is, and then a week later just being sort of a fish in water. I was like, oh, this is what pros do, and it was really good. It was a really good sort of acting camp, so to speak.
And now you did other theater roles, but then you kind of made the jump over to doing episodic work. And here in New York, which, you've done quite a few of the New York shows, quote unquote. Yeah, you had a major recurring role on Orange is the New Black. Before that, you worked with Aziz Ansari.
I did.
How was that?
That was my first, I would say, legit TV role. I did some things before that, you know what I mean? Stuff on like the Discovery ID, like, what do you call those, like reenactment type things, which were fun. But Master of None was my first actual like Netflix TV gig, and it couldn't have gone better. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the show was. I was a big fan of Aziz Ansari, from Parks and Rec, and also his stand-up. But everything just gelled so well when we were on set, and those scenes, with the 3 buddies and things like that, with him and Ravi Patel, were so much fun to do. And I was just felt really lucky and fortunate that it was just very well received. So yeah, that was the first thing, that kind of hit, so to speak.
Yeah, and then you were on quite a few episodes of Orange is the New Black. What was that experience like? At least you weren't stuck in the jail.
I wasn't stuck in the jail. I finally got released, but it was incredible. You're working with these amazing actors on the most watched show in the world. I mean, it's like you're pinching yourself when you're there. I mean, you have to focus, obviously. Focus on the work. And that's, I think, the major lesson I learned from that, because I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of different principal actors on the show.
Right.
It wasn't just the same group that I was, with the entire time.
Right.
They kind of had a lot of people come through the infirmary and where I was, med bay, so to speak. But the best advice that I ever got was from Laverne Cox, who is incredible. And I was like, hey, Laverne, pleasure meeting you. Do you have any advice, first day? She was like, honey, just focus on the work and everything else will fall into place. And I was like, wow, that's truer words were never spoken.
What did you do after that?
After Orange is the New Black, booked a couple episodes on Search Party. That was a lot of fun. And then
you did 5 episodes of that, right?
No, I did 2 episodes.
2 episodes of that. Okay.
Yes, booked a role on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmid. It was a small, but it was a fun role. It was just one of those things where they just dressed me up in this like blonde wig, and I was just like this like broy dude in a Corvette.
Oh, the Corvette. Yeah.
So how they landed on me to do that? It was a fun audition, and Sidney Tolan casting is awesome. They cast me in that and in Odd Mom Out, which was a lot of fun because my scene was with the gentleman who played Michael Scott's boss in The Office.
Okay.
And he was incredible. So it was just a really, really great experience to be able to sort of have those arc on those shows.
And then, like we mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you were just on Lifetime's new show, You, which is quite a psycho thriller type show. Luckily, you didn't have to worry about any of that.
No.
But
no, I got quite. I don't want to ruin anything, but quite a surprise at the end of the episode.
Very much so. Very much so.
If you tune in, you'll know what I'm talking
about.
Right. But
what was it like working on that show?
It was great. Marco Sega's a genius. He was directing the episode, and I think he's also an executive producer on the show. Got to chill out with Penn Badgley a little bit, and Crafties, and he was such a nice, welcoming guy. Everyone just kept saying, even given the nature of like the scene I was in, especially with everything coming to light in Hollywood and with Me Too, they were just like, just trust us. Marco's a genius, and everything's gonna be going. And they really did. They did a great job with it, with putting it together.
They did. What do you like? Not what do you like better, but do you feel more comfortable on stage, or do you enjoy being on the television movie side of things?
That's the question, right? So I wouldn't say I haven't done that at really any big studio film, so I can't really speak to that. But as far as television versus stage, this is gonna sound like such a cliched answer, but I love both. There's different skill sets that are required in both. There's different things that make you grow in both. I love working on camera work, and I love stagecraft. One of my favorite teachers is Patsy Rodenberg. She teaches voice at the Guild and also at the Royal Shakespeare Company, and she's taught a lot of great people voice through Shakespeare. And she's incredible, and she really encourages craft work and the importance of working on plays and stagecraft, and then taking that into your on-camera work. So I think that if I had my choice on what my career is going to be like, I would love to just be able to do both. Yeah.
And you mentioned you worked on the Netflix show. Well, it's an exciting time, I would assume, to be an actor when there's so much more than just broadcast television to get cast in.
Right, and it's so good. Everything from Hulu stuff to Amazon stuff to Netflix. I mean, the shows are incredible, and you see these big stars now coming and working on those networks or those outlets, I should say.
Right.
I just, Netflix has been really good to me. I would love to keep working for them. Yeah.
And what is your latest project? I know you have something coming out in January. What can you talk about that?
Yes.
Or how much can you spill, rather?
It's my first bad guy role.
Okay.
I played a role on a series called The Oath on Sony's platform called Crackle, Sony Crackle. It's for season 2, and it's all about corrupt cop gangs. It's based on Joe Halpin. He's the executive producer. It's based on his true story when he worked for one of these sort of cop gangs in the 70s, and since then I believe he turned his life around, turned it into art, and sold the story, and now he's executive producing the show. But we filmed down in Puerto Rico, and it's supposed to be a nondescript southern town. And what can I say? It's the first time ever filming on location. It was in a beautiful island, most welcoming people I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Awesome cast. And I got to play kind of a bad guy, so that was kind of cool.
What was that like, delving into the bad guy role, since you've been primarily good guys? You were kind of a little sleazy on you.
Kind of a little sleazy.
A little bit.
I would say that it was a lot of fun, because you just have to find the humanity in anyone, right? And it wasn't like this person was a sadistic person, but he doesn't do good things for a living.
Right.
And I think just finding the humanity of his relationship with his sister, that's also sort of the head of their crime syndicate kind of thing. It was really, really interesting. Yeah.
What has been the most challenging thing for you on your road to where you are now, in terms of the success that you have, the success that you want?
The most challenging thing is really telling yourself that, and really believing that it's a lifelong journey. If you're looking for your next booking, if you're mad about your last audition, it's just, you got to work on it every day. Whether you're speaking a speech 5 minutes in the shower or work on it an hour every day, you really just have to work on it every day, and eventually something's going to land. You know, like, you can't hold things as too precious. If a role goes away, if casting love you, it's just, every day is a win if you're just working on your stuff.
Yep.
And it's usually when things are just really harried and there's not enough time, but it's like, I went to Puerto Rico, there was 4 auditions that day. We self-taped, me and my friend. It took like 20 minutes to lay it down. That's all the time we had. I wish I'd spent more time on it. And out of the 4 things I went on that day, that's what hit. And 2 weeks later, I'm in Puerto Rico. So you really just have to sort of be grounded in knowing that it's a lifelong pursuit, and just, you know.
On the flip side of that, what's the most rewarding?
What's the most rewarding? I get to do this, man.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, you know, like, not to sound so like Hallmark or whatever, but, like, you know, my dad moved us over here from Karachi, Pakistan when I was 6 years old. I grew up in a small town playing football and basketball. Like, I, you know, like, had a really awesome opportunity to grow up here, and now I'm an actor. I don't know if anyone else in my family even does anything close to that. So that's the rewarding thing. I get to just do this, and it's when you find your passion. I mean, I worked in the financial services industry, I've done some other stuff, but not everybody, I think, gets to do what they love, and I really love it.
Very true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me. It's been really great and a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you on The Oath in January.
Thanks for having me.
You're
Tune into
welcome.
The Oath.